So just to give you some context, this is my agency, XTRA BOLD. I started out my career as a graphic designer at Nike, and I went on to be a creative director at Capitol Records during the mid-90s, working with Radiohead and Foo Fighters, and Megadeth, Butthole Surfers. And I went on to go into the big leagues of advertising and worked at Deutsch LA, big ad agency, lots of big clients, super, super crazy. I had a full head of hair when I started there, and now look at me. I moved up to the Bay Area 10 years ago and started running an ad agency here. And during the pandemic, morphed it into XTRA BOLD because one of my clients asked me if I could do TikTok videos and more short form content. And we weren't really geared for that, but I said, yeah, that's the future. So I started XTRA BOLD to do that. It turns out that we're doing a lot of traditional marketing and advertising. And in the process of sort of, getting into that, the Academy of Art University asked me if I would teach TikTok, but it turns out I'm teaching AI. So basically AI for advertising. So the creative part of AI. And, Jackson and I were just talking earlier, and I said, hey, I've got a total presentation, but it's not really live, but I could go live. So I'm going to try and do a live demo of basically creating an ad campaign. And I'm teaching this as a class, so I'm going to just replicate that a little bit. And what I've done is I've got, let's see, yeah, you can see everything I've got. So I'm going to do this thing for the Rivian pickup truck, and we're going to go into ChatGPT, and, we're just going to give it a couple of prompts and just see what it does in real time. I've already kind of prepped it a little bit, but that's because I was just making sure it was working. And so I'm asking it a little bit of information. I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT. I said, I told it, the Rivian's an electric pickup truck designed and manufactured by Rivian, blah, blah, blah. It said, yes, that's correct. The Rivian electric pickup truck is an EV design, blah, blah, blah. So it's going on that. So let's move on. Let's go, let's pretend we're an ad agency right here in real time. We've got an assignment that probably takes a few weeks to get this done. We're going to do it here in, 20 minutes? Act as a world-renowned brand strategist and write an advertising strategy for the very first Rivian R1 electric pickup truck campaign. Here we go in real time. Anybody who's a brand strategist, leave the room. Here we go. And if you haven't used ChatGPT, this is kind of a good fun thing. If you've used it, maybe you haven't used it like this, but here we go. We're just writing an ad strategy. And, I've got a lot of ad strategy friends, and they're probably ready to strangle me right now for doing this. So hang on to your hot dogs. So here it is. It's writing a full strategy, and it knows it's pulling from the whole data set of everything it knows about Rivian. It knows everything about Rivian, and it's kind of cool. So it just wrote that. I'm not going to read this for you, but you can see it. There it is. Showcasing the technology, emphasizing eco-friendliness, high performance, sense of adventure. It says you should leverage social media influencers. For sure, we would do that, and create an interactive experience. I mean, I could go to the client tomorrow. I'm pretty set, right? First meeting, there's my deck. But, we want to go a little further, right? So I'm going to ask it to write a mantra. Now, in my world, we write these mini mantras before we do campaigns because it helps us sort of take the strategy and boil it down into something that the creatives can actually grab onto. So here it is, writing a mini mantra about the advanced technology side of the campaign. I wanted to focus on the futurism, the innovation, all the stuff that, is the sexy part of a Rivian truck. Let's forget about towing boats and all that crap. Let's get down to it. Ooh, here we go. The futuristic innovation is so appealing because okay, this is kind of boring. So the creative department is sitting here going, yeah. Can we write, well, who are we advertising to? Let's bring the strategist back in the room. Let's write some brand personas. Oh my God, can this thing write brand personas? Oh shit, it's doing it. Okay, the strategist left the room again. man, the adventurous explorer, the tech-savvy innovator, or the tech bro, the practical business owner. This is pretty cool. I just wrote personas. We could probably do a lot more. But like, I'm really skeptical about this thing because I'm sitting in the creative department going, who's going to pay like 70 grand for this truck? Come on. So I said, why would Americans buy an electric truck like this if they don't really intend to go off-road or camping or pull a boat? That's just a question from the back of the room. Thank you. Oh, look, there's several reasons. Sustainability, cost savings, innovation, performance. Wow. So you can actually just have a conversation with ChatGPT, just like the strategy team is in the room. But I'm going to jump forward in time here because I want to. And I'm going to ask it to write 5 tweets that are cleverly worded reasons to believe in the Rivian truck. And I'm going to tell you in a second why I'm writing tweets. So I've been playing with this to try and write advertising headlines. And it doesn't write great headlines. It just doesn't. But it writes pretty clever tweets. And because tweets are a little sassy, a little bit clever, they're a little more interesting than headlines. And I want short, ballsy, sassy headlines that I could put on a billboard, right? But guess what? They're not in the tweet. They're in the hashtags. Look at that one. Future forward. That's pretty good. That's sort of my just do it for Rivian. Future forward. I like smashing together words. I like alliteration. So that's pretty cool. I got something out of there that I like. I'm trying to harvest something out of this, but I want to trick ChatGPT because ChatGPT is sort of like an 8th grade English teacher from the Midwest, and it's being very proper. So let's go like this. Let's turn this into a short, funny poem. Okay, I'm giving away all my tricks here, so just watch this. Ooh, from city streets to rugged terrain, the Rivian R1 is quite the gain. Electric power, sustainability chic. This truck is making gas guzzlers sick. Ooh, chic and sick? Okay, well, we'll fix that. Anyway, the point is, you can write a poem. You can write a song. I'm trying to do creative work here, so I thought a poem would be good. I'm going to rewrite this as the mantra with that little poetic flair. See if it can come back with a little bit more creativity, because it's kind of bumming me out that it's so dry. Ooh, now it's putting a little bit of that creativity in there. Innovative power, sustainability strong, Rivian R1, the future belongs. Wait, a mantra that rhymes? Okay, this is pretty cool. I would actually read this to the client. So now just to prove to you that it's not really going to write the headlines for you, I'm going to ask it to write the headlines. Because I said it doesn't write good headlines, but you're like, yeah, come on. So here it goes. The future is here. Introducing the Rivian R1 electric pickup truck. No, I'm not showing that to the client. This is not going to work. And this is what happens with a lot of people with ChatGPT. They go diving in right here and they go, this thing doesn't work. It's crap. Look at this stuff. I can't show this. Well, because they weren't looking at the hashtags. And so, you can have this dialogue with it. I'm saying, hey, write 5 humorous observations about the versatility of the Rivian R1 electric pickup truck. So it's playing around. It's doing its thing. So turn this into tweets with hashtags. We're going live here. We're just playing. See if it comes back with hashtags. Oh, I like this. The Swiss Army knife on wheels. That's kind of cool. Okay. So not a lot. You gotta know how to harvest here. When you're doing this, it's a little bit tricky. So let's leave ChatGPT for a second. We'll come back. I think the one thing I saw in all of that, and I've done this a few times, I think I did 22 pages of this before I got something I could harvest. And then I went, okay, there it is. So I saw what I wanted, and now I'm going to go into Midjourney. Oh, well, what the heck? So this is my homepage. I've been playing around with trying to make some images. Now, this is a whole nother prompting world of trying to make this adventurous electric vehicle seem super cool. Some of this stuff is a little weird. That doesn't look like a Rivian, so something's not quite right. But I do like the moonscape. Wait, this one's kind of cool. I'm going to have to Photoshop out that stuff on the door, but I'm getting closer, right? And why am I putting it on the moon? Well, I read that stuff. It was talking about futurism and future forward. I'm like, okay. But I mean, you can get really crazy. You can do some weird stuff. And I'll just run you through a few. Like if you're prompting, you might get that. And then you might say, it's total crap. This Midjourney thing is whack. It's not working. But, if you get a little further along, you can get a nice truck. Now, I'd say this one's a lot closer. This is Midjourney V5 with a little bit more elaborate prompting, a little bit more talking about photorealism. And that's pretty cool. I did this one this morning, just after playing with it. And to be totally honest, I'm teaching this as a class. And so I've got like 20 students that are working on this in 2 different classrooms. And they're making every rookie move that I make and that you guys might make. But what they're also doing is they're having success. You're going to have like 10 failures to get maybe 1 success, or 20 failures. And on Monday, some of the students brought forward some stuff that was just mind-blowing. And so I stole from them and I got to this. And then really how it goes. That's why I'm teaching. I'm just trying to steal from my students. But the cool thing is, if you're in an ad agency or if you're in a creative office and you've got a lot of people pumping on this, 5 people with the same prompts are going to get 5 different results. And you're going to have to tweak 1 word, 2 words, change a few things, and you're going to get different results. So, I'm optimistic about it. One of my students asked me if I could do something with a Pixar monster, but look what happened to the truck. So I actually photoshopped this monster onto the other truck and said, there you go. Got to do a little bit of Frankensteining to make it work. But the point is, you can have some creative things happen. You could do some stuff like this that's a little more scary, a little bit more urban. I mean, let's be honest, the adventure that you take in this truck might not be to the mountains. It might just be going on a late night taco run in the city. So, I can show you my prompt on this just to give it fully away. This one says Rivian Electric One pickup truck, night, stormy, clouds, dark, scary, wet, big city, Blade Runner, 3/4 front view, headlights on, shadows, shadowy figures, desaturated, ultra realistic, photorealistic, high definition. Boom. There you go. So that's how that works. And, anybody can go on ChatGPT. Anybody can get their own Discord channel, set up your own Discord channel and start playing around. It's pretty cool. As you can see, I've got a lot of time on the clock with Rivian and other projects that I'm working on. Working on a vodka brand right now. So you can do a lot of things. Working on a motorcycle project. A lot of cool things you can do. What we're going to do is we're going to jump to my keynote that I was going to start off with. And I'll just go to the keynote because this was in case I couldn't go live. And I did capture a bunch of these things that I was doing. So I already ran you through this and showed you what I was asking it and what it was writing. And it's not impossible to harvest things out of here if you just really give it the right prompt. So this one was probably the best one. Write 3 advertising headlines based on the future forward idea. I pulled that future forward out of the hashtag. I'd never seen that word before, future forward, but I thought it was really good because it's telling you sort of what this thing is. So then it says the future is here, drive into the future, join the electric revolution. Okay, we're getting closer. But you've got to get the prompts right and you got to find that nugget in that 20 pages of stuff. So I wrote a poem based on the future, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I pulled a few headlines out. I didn't think that they were horrible, but they're not totally dead. And then I pulled some of the images that I liked. I also use Lexica, which is a little different than Midjourney. Maybe it's a better beginner tool if you want to get in there. I think, if you're just getting started, go to Lexica first. Midjourney, you got to get a Discord, start your own channel, do all that. This is pretty cool. And you can see I was doing like the outdoor adventure, and then I was doing like the full future thing. And then I was doing sort of the inner city urban thing. And then I was trying to do some more illustrative things. Wow, it can do illustration and photography? Yes. And obviously the illustration here is not quite right, but maybe for a social media feed, this could be fun. And I think you could get better at it. It's getting better every week. Like every time I go back, I'm kind of freaked out by how much smarter it's getting, how much better it's getting, even with the same prompts. So just as an example, I wanted to throw something together, and you saw that one already, and say, hey, what if I took the future forward headline and I threw it on one of these images and I said, the new Rivian R1 electric pickup driving into the future. So that's basically the copy I harvested, and I just put a little design on it and made a quick ad. So yeah, you could make a quick ad. I thought future forward was actually not that bad. I figured, you know what? If I'm doing a demo for my class or here, I could show you that, within short order, you can make an ad. Just got to throw it together. Obviously, that truck needs a little retouching. Hey, listen, in real life, we'd go and shoot that truck, probably in the studio, and CGI and Photoshop the background, whatever. We could make this into an ad. This is a good sketch for an ad. And it gets us, further down in short order. I did some other ads. I was just playing around with those other images just to show you that you could do something with those images. This was just an idea that I had, like, where can you park it? Unexplored mountaintop, local hidden surf spot, seedy back alley, or e-charge station at the mall. This one says, off the beaten path, somewhere in Utah, because I thought that looked like Utah. Distant planets, or grocery shopping. And then this one says, where are you headed? Late night taco run, back alley, speakeasy, mother-in-law's driveway. That's pretty scary. Or Bed Bath and Beyond. So basically you could bang these together. And I'm not really a copywriter, so forgive me for butchering this, but I just wanted to make these into some ad-like objects and show you guys that you can do creative work with this if you go down the right path and essentially understand the prompting and have an optimistic sort of mindset when you go in. You can't go in there and just chip away at it and go, nope, it's not working. It takes a lot of work and a lot of harvesting, and then going back and taking what you harvested and putting it back in and creating that dialogue. Here's what's crazy about ChatGPT. It remembers. It doesn't forget where you started. So I'm, a couple weeks into this, it knows the brand strategy that I fed it in the beginning. It knows the tweets that I wrote. It knows the hashtags. It's just building on itself. And yes, that's cool, but yes, that's scary. But that's where we are. If you're getting into this, so I am using this with some of my clients. We write blog posts with ChatGPT. We're doing some image generation for some products. You saw the pink vodka in there. We're experimenting with it. I think our clients are actually really, really into it. It's like the cool new toy. It's fun. We're probably going to have to go do real photo shoots and do real illustrations. We're not going to use this as final. So right now it's just a sketching tool, but it advances us further down. And the one question that was coming up, is this going to put people out of business? And is this ethical? I guess that's the other one. And I think the way I look at it is, no, this is just, you're an art director and a writer, and this is your tool for sketching. Usually, you got a comp artist. Okay, maybe comp artists are going to have to learn how to do the prompting. They could sit with us, fine. But you're going to have to learn how to do this if you're working in advertising. Is this ethical? Well, we're not saying that these images are being sold. These are just replacing sketches and drawings and comps that we would have cobbled together from found photos or a sketch artist. So these aren't real. We're not stealing anybody's business. I would probably go out and shoot these for real, we'd be going out to, British Columbia, Utah, and I think this is downtown San Francisco late at night. So yeah, we would go and make these real. We wouldn't put artists out of business. We're not putting copywriters out of business. Copywriters want to use this tool. They need to sharpen this text. They need to work on it. But as a team, it's another tool for us. And for me, I think it's actually opened up. It's really helped me teach advertising because I can show students how to work with a copywriter, even if they don't have a copy partner, or how to do image generation if they don't know how to tweak an image that they found online or make something from scratch. So it's a cool new tool. And basically that's where we're going with it. People are doing it. And the way that I kind of look at it is that, right now it's still early days. I'm sure there's a lot of lawsuits going on, a lot of people freaking out. If you burned a current artist, like somebody did an ad campaign in my class today and they used Matisse as the artist. Okay, they're not burning Matisse. It's actually pretty cool. And if you were an illustrator and you did an illustration based on Matisse, you're not going to get sued. But if you did like a rip on Shepard Fairey, yeah, you're going to get sued. So I think it's still the same ethical things that you would do if you were an illustrator or photographer. You can do an homage or a send up to something that was from the past, but you don't want to burn or rip off somebody who's currently making a living doing that style. So tread very carefully. Don't burn anybody. I think people are going to be naive and sometimes stumble on something that does maybe burn somebody, or it's a lift off of a common style. But let's be honest, there's a lot of commonality in illustration and photography, but there are very specific styles. And photographers will burn another photographer without like ripping them off. It's just like, hey, I really like David LaChapelle and I'm going to shoot some stuff that looks like him. He's probably not going to sue you, but you just got to be smart about it. I just think, don't be malicious. Don't be unethical and do your best. And right now we're early days. In a year or two, maybe there's more of a concise legal way to get about this. But I think if you're just doing something and you're doing it in a really good way, I would say look at the past, look at stuff that's public domain, and then you can pull from that. That's a way better way to go. And I while I was doing some of my Explore, I was like putting in like Ansel Adams and some, forgotten photographers to try and get styles, and it was working. It was pulling. And I was like, am I ripping that off? But I think, there's certain things out in the world that, especially in advertising, we're like pop culture vultures. We're pulling all the time. And we got to be careful. Like somebody's got to just put their hand up and go, no, we're not doing that. We're going to get our ass sued. So I would say tread carefully, be ethical, just be mindful. There's a lot of dead artists who you could reference, who are, you could do Picasso, you could do Matisse. Take a look when you're playing around, put those prompts in and have some fun. You could smash Matisse and Picasso together and get something. That's what's kind of cool is you could make something new. And honestly, my advice to my students is that you pull multiple references. Don't pull from one place. Smash this into that and you'll make something new. There's a lot of really cool books on advertising that sort of peel back the curtain on some of the best campaign strategies and ways to solve problems. And you can prompt those things into ChatGPT and say, here's a formula for solving this problem, and use that formula to then write this copy. The problem is it's very dry still. It's not. Yeah, and some of the funniest stuff we've done is we said, hey, be sassy or be clever or be funny. And it's just not like a level 10 on that. It also, philosophically, I did that future forward thing because I love smashing words together that are not necessarily grammatically correct. And ChatGPT is very grammatically correct. So I'm like, well, this is advertising. We don't have to be correct. So I want to get, and that's why I loved like the hashtags on those tweets, because you were seeing like things that weren't necessarily English phrases, but they were kind of cool. And sometimes they had alliteration, and because, hashtags should be sort of weird and clever. And that's where I was finding sort of that little gold in the pile of dirt. But it's going to get better. It's going to get smarter. And people are going to start feeding it that data. Like, here is a whole strategy of how to do this or how to solve this. And then it's going to start doing that. My biggest fear is that, so when stock photography and stock illustration started getting really good, and it was really crap for a long time, and then it started getting really good. And what I would tell my team is that you got to be really careful. And I would tell this to clients as well. Everybody's fishing in the same pond. So you can go to all the stock sites that I'm going to and pull the same stuff for your client that might be a competitor of my client. And sure enough, I go to the header of the web page of your client, and there's the image that I just sold my client. That sucks. So I think that the key for originality and being unique and relevant is to try to really, squeeze this thing and get it to work harder. People that are just scratching the surface are going to get mediocre results. And it's really the same thing with looking at the stock images. Really quick point is that when I started going down this rabbit hole, I really felt like this was going to be the death of creativity. And I started writing blogs, posts about it. And I was really, really sort of depressed. Like, first, stock photography is really good. And then stock logos are good and stock illustration. And then like, what's left for us? And then this comes along and like, how are we going to do this? And really what I wanted to do was get on the front of the bus and drive the bus. And that's why you're seeing this presentation. But I kind of turned the corner by seeing these students breaking out these campaigns and really changing my mind and going, okay, you know what? I see the other side of this. I see there's actually, it's not the end of it, it's the beginning of it. And on Monday morning, I had a student show me a TV commercial that they made in Midjourney, and it blew my mind. And at some point, maybe we can post it on the site, but it's because, it's still in revision world. But they did the whole thing in Midjourney, and I just sat there and looked at it and went, are you kidding? And they wrote the copy in ChatGPT, and I said, how did you do this? And they said, well, you told us to do this. And I'm like, oh, shit. So, it's a little bit like the mad scientist going, oh God, Pinocchio is real. So yeah, we're really seeing some really cool advancements. And so, as sort of an eternal optimist, I'm saying I think it's a good thing right now because we've got to turn the corner. We're kind of in this slump of mediocrity, and there's a lot of really crappy creative out there. And I just from my viewpoint, because I'm coaching these 20 students to work on it, and I've seen some amazing stuff. I'm just, my sort of, the moral of the story is it's actually pretty cool stuff, and I have really high hopes. I'm going to be teaching a class this summer called AI for Advertising at the Academy of Art University. Anybody could sign up. I'm really excited about it. I actually wrote the whole course syllabus using Merlin, which is another sort of ChatGPT thing. I woke up at 3 a.m, pulled my phone out, wrote the whole syllabus, and then I emailed it to the president of the university. I probably shouldn't tell my secrets here, but and we're going to do it. And honestly, you got to have the prompts. You got to know what to ask it and what to tell it. But that's just what's going on. So I think the moral of the story is we're probably in chapter 1 of a 20 chapter book here. So hang on, buckle up.